Welcome, everybody, to the April 7th, 2026 Clay County Planning Commission meeting. Meeting is now called to order. If you would, at this time, please put your cell phones on silent or vibrate. If you need to take a call during the meeting, please step outside. If you need to leave during the meeting, please do so quietly. And at this time, would you please stand, and gentlemen, please remove your covers and join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Pete Davis. I'm the chairman of the Clay County Planning Commission. The minutes tonight are being taken by Christine Blanchett, recording secretary from the clerk of the court's office. Other staff members, including tonight, we have Ms. Beth Carson, who's the Director of Planning and Zoning, and we have Dodie Seelig, who's our Chief Planner, and others. We have Jamie Hovda from the Legal Department, and I don't see any others. We thank Deputies Shelley and Hannell from Clay County Sheriff's Department office. They're here to oversee our proceedings. To my right is Vice Chairman Bo Norton, Commissioner Ralph Puckhaber. To my left is Commissioner Michael Beret, Commissioner Bill Garrison, and our school board representative is Mr. Bill Beeman. Paul, excuse me. What did I call you? Bill. It's okay. I was close, but I just one down. The Clay County Planning Commission is a citizen advisory board to the Board of County Commissioners, or the BCC. All planning commissioners are volunteers, residents of Clay County, appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. We serve 2-year terms and must reapply if we wish to continue to serve. The commission's duties are outlined in section 163.3 of the Florida statutes. We hear applications for comprehensive plan amendments, land development code changes, and rezonings. Most of the decisions made by the Planning Commission are recommendations to the BCC. The BCC will have the final say at their meeting on either the second Tuesday, 1 week from today, or the fourth Tuesday, 3 weeks from today. The BCC meeting starts at 4 p.m. The zoning and landing issues matters starting at 5 p.m. You need to check the BCC agenda on the Clay County website for actual times and locations. We always welcome the public to the Planning Commission meetings, as citizen participation is the backbone of our public form of government. Your presence here is important and appreciated. If there's an item on tonight's agenda you wish to speak to about or you want to talk about during the open comment period, please fill out one of the comment cards which is found in the entry vestibule and give it to Ms. Blanchett. There is a 3-minute time limit for each comment. Time is kept by the lights on the podium. The red light indicates the time is up. Okay, the first item for action tonight is approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
A motion motion made and second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, a couple of other things. There is I guess a signage down in Keystone, PUD 26001. Is there anybody here tonight to speak to that? Okay, if there is, it's not on the agenda. It didn't make the agenda cut. So that will most likely show up either in May or possibly June. So please check the agenda for that. The other thing I'd like to bring up is well, let's get into public comments for it. I have one card for public comment. The public comment period at this time is any member of the public may comment on any items not included on tonight's agenda but pertinent to the business of the Planning Commission. At this time, I'll open the public comment period. I have one card, Mr. Daniels.
Good evening. I was here a year and a half ago.
pull the mic over in front of you. There you go.
Yeah, I was here a year and a half ago, and I came here just to get some information. And that meeting that night was canceled. So it was just me sitting in the audience. And they asked me, do you want to ask a question? I did, and you guys gave me some information. So I'm back to further my education. I have two quick questions. What is the relationship of the Fleming Island CDD with Clay County in regards to planning or any type of financial issues that they do together?
Each one of the planning districts, at their option, has what we call an advisory group. Fleming Island Advisory Group is a group that's been in force since the early 80s. Their responsibility is to review zoning applications and other things pertinent to the Planning Commission and to the Board of County Commissioners before it gets to the Planning Commission. They meet with the developer. Their membership, I think they have 10 member seats. I don't know how many seats they have filled. And that's the course of events. They meet with the advisory group, then they make a recommendation to us, and then we'll meet with the developer and the public and make a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners.
So they're a starting point, but in regards to the CDD itself, are they involved with any of that?
They're not part of the CDD. They're independent of the CDDs or the HOAs or anything like that.
Okay.
You might have members sitting on there that are members of the CDD, but their function is completely independent.
Okay, now if I was to, I go to the CDD meetings all the time. I have a small issue that's been going on for 2.5 years. And I'm wondering if I could contact the county commissioner that covers the area and try to see if they could get involved with an issue that I have with the CDD.
I'm not being familiar. Number one, we normally don't
Yeah, I
have
understand.
this type of exchange, that type of thing. But
Yeah.
if you want more information on that, I would recommend that you get a hold of Beth Carson in the planning department. She can fill you in all the stuff.
Thank you. All right, well, I
If you have
appreciate your time.
any questions at all, of course, a likely starting point might be with your county commissioner.
Yeah, that's what I figured. You guys were very helpful before, but there wasn't an audience here. So anyways, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. All right, the next item on the agenda is public hearing comp 26-002. I have several cards for this. This item has been continued till May, so it won't be coming for us, but I do have I got about 4 or 5 cards here. Is that some more? Okay, 6 more. Because we won't be, the applicant's not here, we won't be hearing a presentation, but you're more than welcome to speak on this agenda item. You can either speak tonight, or you can speak when it comes before the Planning Commission in May, or you can speak tonight and come back in May. It's your choice. So I'll go through the names, and then you can tell me at that time whether you want to speak now or speak later or whatever you want to do. The first name I have is Quentin Carroll. Mr. Carroll, you here?
Yes, I'm not speaking, but I will project.
You going to
He's gonna
defer?
wait till May. He said
Okay. Jeremy Middleton?
Also,
He's gonna wait.
Okay. Lynn Herring?
I'll have to swear him in if they speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
I completely skipped over that. Anybody that wants to speak tonight on any agenda items has to be sworn in by Ms. Blanchett. So those that are going to be sworn in, or those, I have several cards, those that wish to speak tonight, would you please stand up and move to the center so Ms. Blanchett can swear you in?
You raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Blanchett. Okay, the floor is yours.
Yes, good evening. I'm retired Admiral Lynn Herring. I am the president of the Fox Meadow Civic Association, and I'm here to represent the 574 homes in the neighborhood
Okay,
that
excuse
form
me, Admiral, would you give us your address, please?
1063 Cactus Cut Road, Middleburg. I'm here to say that the bulk of the community is in immediate concern for what is happening here in this 46.39 acres. The planning throughout Blanding Avenue has been utilized this conservation area for the last 27 years. And now by means, we see that greed has canceled that conservation need and planning effort and tried to turn it in as an error. And we contend that if the error was made, it should have been corrected 26 years ago. My recommendation and our recommendation is that if this is in fact true, then this commission has the opportunity to nominate this piece of property as a conservation area to the committee established this year and solve the problem. We see this as an error on our part, bigger part, in allowing a conservation area to potentially become one more developed area, in our location. This will have a severe impact, and we are very, very concerned. I plan on being back here on the 5th, and we will be back for the final meeting with significantly more representation. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Van Bloem?
Thank you, sir. Stephen Van Bloem. Yes, I just came on behalf of the Oakley Brennan Ridge Citizens Advisory Committee and provide myself if you guys need any questions answered. I think you'll find in the notes that we've left for our last meeting regarding this particular topic seems to echo with the same thing that the Admiral who just spoke, their comments also, we feel the same way. This was a unanimous decision to disapprove this, recommend disapproval. But if there is any further questions, I'm available for this, and I'll also come back on the 5th of May for this meeting. Any questions for me, though? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Sayer? Please state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Erin Sayer. I live at 2100 Spinnaker Court, which is on the north prong of Black Creek across a very narrow waterway from the site. I live on the creek. I spend time in that water, and like many people here, I chose to live where I do because of the natural beauty and character of the area. I'm here tonight to strongly oppose the future land use amendment being proposed. At the heart of this issue is a very simple question. If conservation land can just be redesignated when it becomes profitable enough, then what does conservation even mean? This proposal is not just a map change. It has real consequences for the people who already live here and for the creek itself. More development here means more runoff, more pollution, more fertilizers and chemicals washing into Black Creek, more pressure on an already sensitive waterway, and more long-term damage to water quality. It also means loss of natural habitat, more erosion, and more strain on a part of Clay County that people value precisely because it has not been overbuilt. And let's talk about flooding, because that alone should give this board pause. We continue to pave over land that naturally absorbs water and then act surprised when flooding gets worse. Conservation land serves a purpose, and once it's gone, we don't get that protection back. This also affects quality of life for the people who live on and use Black Creek today. People boat here, they fish here, swim here, raise families here, and choose this part of Clay County because it feels like one of the few places that hasn't been turned into just another subdivision. And importantly, as a couple of the gentlemen have mentioned already, the Citizens Advisory Committee unanimously recommended disapproval. That committee, if I need to remind you, exists to represent the people who actually live here, unlike the people that are applying to have this land use designation changed. Running out of time, I guess. Okay. So I have to ask, who exactly is this for? Because it does not appear to be for the residents of the county. It doesn't appear to be for the health of Black Creek. Frankly, this feels like exactly what people are so tired of seeing. Someone buys conservation land, they enjoy the benefits that come from owning it, and then they later try to cash in by changing the rules when it becomes convenient. That's not stewardship, that's opportunism. So I'm asking you to do the right thing when this finally comes before you and vote no on this application. Please don't continue to chip away at our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, this isn't a theater. Shirley Hatcher.
Hi, thank you. I'm Shirley Hatcher. I reside at 4254 Banks Road in Middleburg, on the north prong of Black Creek as well. This development, and I also have a business on Blanding Boulevard, less than a quarter of a mile from this property. This development, for all the reasons everyone else has said, and I will not repeat them because I agree with everything that has been said. I've been on my property for 30 years. I've raised my children on the creek and everybody else's kids who came over. I'm strongly opposed to it. We do have, we as citizens voted on the Forest and Farms Conservation Land Program, so I don't know how we go about getting this to be submitted as a possible property to be purchased under the land program. That is an option maybe that could be considered rather than having development, and that could truly be a conservation rather than just a designation on the comprehensive plan, which is apparently not good enough to keep it conservation land as it should be. So I'm opposed to it as well, and I don't have any other further comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Keith Taylor.
Hello, my name is Keith Taylor, 2113 Spinnaker Court. I'm retired Sergeant First Class Taylor. So I agree with the Admiral and everybody else who spoke about this land use. You know, my family's lived in this county for multiple generations. I served my country for my entire adult life. I now serve with the fire department here in Clay County in Orange Park. So my entire adult life I've spent serving my country and this county. And, you know, I grew up on the Black Creek. I want my kids to be able to grow up on Black Creek. And I'm worried that the more of this type of land that gets wasted on money, basically, that our kids and your kids and grandkids or anybody else is not going to be able to use it one day. There's already so many boats out here, we can't even hardly do anything on the weekends, even during the weeks. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to speak against it, just like everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Richard Settler. Setier. Robin Setier. Okay, I apologize. Also, I have two other cards for Jeremy Middleton, and there is also against this. Okay. Are there any others that wish to speak on this agenda item before I close it out? All right, thank you very much.
I'd like to say something.
Yes, sir.
A couple of things. One person asked about the Conservation Committee. If you're not familiar with the county's website, it's actually a pretty good website. It's called Clay, it's a weird URL. It's claycountygov.com, not .gov, claycountygov.com. But if you'll go in there and search, you can find on the Conservation Committee. They meet once a month on the third Tuesday of the month, so it's in 2 weeks, at 6 p.m., and it's in this building. It's probably in this room, right? It's in this same room in 2 weeks at 6 o'clock. So if you wanted to come and speak before them about land conservation, that's the group that's I know they have a lot of input to that money. I don't know how those decisions are made, but that's the group to talk to.
Could I add something?
Sure.
So I'm Dodie Seelig, I'm the chief planner, and I'm also the one kind of organizing that same committee. And I just wanted to say, you can go on our website and make application. Anyone in the public, you don't have to own the property, but anybody can make an application to have a property considered by that committee. There may be language, because we had an open window that actually ended at the end of February. However, that Land Conservation Committee hasn't met yet for the first time for actually reviewing those parcels. They're still doing a kind of a practice exercise this month, so this coming meeting will be more of a practice meeting. And then we're anticipating May will be the first meeting that they actually take a look at new property. So there's a bit of a window here. If somebody wants to, we could take another application that we might receive in the next few weeks to the May meeting. So I just want to let everybody know that that's an option.
Sorry, but my suggestion, and I don't know if it's possible, but this committee is faced with an opportunity. This committee is part of the governmental process. If in fact this 46 acres is found to be conservation in error, then the right thing to do would be for this commission to recommend to that committee that that property go to the head of the list.
I appreciate that. But
Government fixing government.
this committee can't do that. It's a citizen-generated, applicant-generated program. So the committee can't do that, unfortunately, but you, the citizens, can, so.
Mr. Chair, just one other thing. I did want to ask, can I ask staff a question? Staff? Don't, since this was, or we're going to continue, so we didn't get all the information
Right.
in our packet. Can you just tell me where this piece of property is that we're talking about?
It is on the east side of Blanding, just south of 220.
Blanding, south of 220?
Yep, just south of 220, south of the high school.
We'll hear it next month. I mean, I've made my position about conservation land known previously, so we'll see what you got to say next month.
All right, once again, this item will come for the planning commission next month in May.
Yes, we,
Courtney?
No, we're
Not
gonna
yet.
do that in a minute. Are you ready for that?
Yep.
Pete, I'll move continuance of this item to the next meeting in May. What was the date, May? May
May
5th? On May 5th or as soon thereafter as it can be heard.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you all very much, and those that wish to come back, we'll be glad to see you on May the 5th. Okay, our next agenda item is public hearing, consider ZON 26-0006, sign code amendment.
yeah. Good evening. This item will be coming to the Board of County Commissioners on April 28th.
Hang on a second, Dodie.
It's the hardest map.
Please take your discussions out in the vestibule. Thank you. Go ahead.
Alrighty. The applicant is Frank Miller. The area that will be affected by this application is the Lake Asbury Master Plan area and those areas in the county that are outside Brandonfield Master Plan. At this time, the Brandonfield Master Plan area, their sign code won't be affected by the proposed changes. The application has two ordinances, one for Article 3, the zoning code, and one for Article 7, which is the sign code. The applicant's proposing to create a master sign plan approval process. that would apply to projects that meet a definition that is a new definition for us. It's called a unified large-scale development, and I have the definition there for you. A comprehensive master planned, multi-phase development with mixed of uses and consisting of not less than 2,000 acres. So as I said, there's 2 articles. The changes to Article 3, specifically under Lake Asbury, are minimal. There are some small changes to some of the prohibited signs, specifically pointing back to Article 7. And then there's a new section that describes the unified large-scale development, and again, points regulation under that program back to Article 7, so that we keep all of the regulations in one place in the code, so to speak. The changes to Article 7 are more extensive, so I won't give you absolutely every single change, but I'm going to hit the highlights, and I ask you to bear with me because there are quite a few changes. We've made some tweaks to some existing definitions, but we have some new definitions that we've created. We have directional sign, which is a sign that's in the right-of-way, provides limited navigational guidance, includes arrows and symbols, minimal text, specifically indicating location or direction to a geographic area, public facility, civic use, or legally permitted land use. Under this code, that would, the directional signs would be allowed in the right-of-way, but only if it's a part of a master sign plan. Then we have gateway feature sign. That's a sign structure that's located either at the beginning or the end, or both, of a geographic area designed to establish identity for that geographic location. Again, it can include symbols or minimal text to incorporate the geographic area. And then gateway features can be located in the right-of-way in the same way if it's a part of a master sign plan. The master sign plan is a unified sign plan governed by a cohesive design standard that includes location, size, height, physical characteristics of multiple signs, and they have to be within a defined geographic area, and they have to be under unified control. There is non-residential monument signs as a definition, and also residential monument signs. Then we have unified control, and that means ownership, leaseholds, or a recorded agreement of some type that establishes the responsibility for all the signs within that master sign plan. And again, we have the new definition of unified large-scale development. So under a master sign plan, the applicant submits a map showing the boundary of the master sign plan area and all the location of all the signs, a sign schedule, a design standards, which would be, the dimensioning information, and then documentation showing that unified control of all the property included in the boundary. There are the 4 types of signs that we're creating under this master sign plan. These are the heights in the sign face area that are allowed under that. And I've added underneath it just the Lake Asbury requirements for similar signage, so you can kind of see that it's taken mostly from the existing Lake Asbury code. Under Lake Asbury, there's an office complex sign that's 15 feet high and 150 square feet, the same as a gateway feature or the non-residential monument. And then there's a non-residential monument sign in Lake Asbury. And then there's the residential monument sign. The directional signs are allowed to contain no more than the minimum text necessary to identify the destination and convey the direction or the distance. They're not to include commercial advertising or promotional language or pricing information. They have to meet the uniform design standards of all the signs within the master sign plan, and be separated by a distance of 2,000 feet. However, within 1,000 feet of an intersection, there's a provision if the intersection is a collector road or higher that there's an allowance for one directional sign for each direction of travel within that 1,000-foot. Conditions of approval are that the master sign plan shall run with the land, that all the signs will be installed and maintained in accordance with the approved plan, that any modifications will require an amendment to the master sign plan, and that failure to maintain compliance might result in revocation of the master sign plan or removal of signs that don't conform. There's an administrative approval process created under this ordinance. The Director of Planning and Zoning has authorized variance of the code for signs in the master sign plan for things such as height and sign face area, but within certain limits. The signs either have to meet the height and sign face area that was in the table before, or there's this allowance for a waiver, 10% or 15%, depending on sign type. The review of the application shall be completed within 15 business days, and it shall use the same content neutral criteria as the board will be using. And I didn't reproduce that, but you have it in your packet. And signs which don't meet the master sign plan requirements under administrative approval may seek approval from the board. Under the board's approval process, the board has the option to consider a couple of different sign scenarios. One would be a master sign application which either didn't receive a decision within the time frame, or was granted conditions or modifications, or that was denied under the administrative process. Another is a master sign plan that doesn't include a means of unified control for all the properties. And a third scenario would be any sign that was removed from a master sign plan through an administrative approval process if it was greater in height or sign face area than would be permitted under that administrative approval. And again, the board's review is the same, based on the same content neutral criteria. There is an amendment process. A master sign plan can be amended to either add or delete any sign or any property from the boundaries of the sign plan. However, in no case shall the boundary be reduced below the minimum threshold required for the unified large-scale development, that 2,000 acres. Any sign on a parcel of land that is removed from the master sign plan, where that sign doesn't meet the requirements of Article 7 at the time that the parcel is removed from the master sign plan, that sign needs to be brought into compliance with the requirements of Article 7 within 180 days or be removed from the parcel. And a master sign plan shall be amended in the same manner as an original application. Due to some scheduling conflicts, the Lake Asbury Penny Farm Citizen Advisory Committee has not heard this yet. They will hear it on Thursday of this week. And staff finds that the criteria for the zoning amendment are met and is recommending approval of both of the ordinances under zoning 260006. Now, there were a few conversations, just to let you know, earlier today, some last minute tweaking, which is not uncommon to an ordinance. So I just wanted to let you know that we, as staff, discussed let's see here. The gateway sign, we're removing that from the locational limitation, and then incorporating the same language that we have for directional signs for gateway signs, but we'd add in the exact same criteria. And that's the kind of language that says no more than the minimum text necessary, not to include commercial advertising. So those changes will probably be happening and go to the board. We just didn't get a chance to get them drafted and to you in time. So.
Okay, any questions of staff?
Mr. Chair, I have a couple, but would it be better to ask Ms. Selig, or ask the applicant? I don't know who wrote this.
It's a series of joint meetings. It is the applicant's application, however, so.
Okay, I'd rather ask the applicant.
Anybody else questions? I got one question. This ordinance that we're getting ready to review, is this something that applies to new ventures, new large developments that are coming in, or will this overlay existing developments?
Well, we have, the applicant is planning to bring forward a master sign plan, right on the heels of this ordinance adoption. It can apply to, a new project. The only project, really that has that size, that's forthcoming would probably be the Governor's Park, project. But we did make sure that in this ordinance, there is the provision for an existing project, if it met the size requirements and wanted to either create or redo existing, wayfinding, branding, signage that they may already have, that option is available in the code for the board to consider.
This MSP, you all are still working it? You're still working it, you're meeting with the applicant, and
We
you're making changes as we're sitting here. I just wonder whether or not this is ready for showtime.
I would say it is, yes, yes. Those
Yes,
are
it is
tweaked.
ready for showtime, or no, yes, it's not?
Well, the version you have in front of you, no, our legal team and staff noticed some things we wanted to make those two changes that we talked about, so.
The other question I've got too, will these MSPs, will they accompany the application for the development? Will they come in as one package, or is this something that just dribbles in after we've reviewed the application?
Well, for the one that's coming in now, that's Saratoga Springs, that didn't come before the board. That was it did in the sense that it was originally a DRI, and you remember when it came to you to move from DRI into regular code. And then there were a couple of PUDs that were created at the same time. So it is after that's been created, because that was almost 2 years ago now. Governor's Park we haven't discussed this with them. I'm sure that, they'll probably take us up on it. But that project also is, again, that's a DRI that's been out there for quite a while, but is just now starting to build. So I'm not sure what their response will be, but I would anticipate that they will probably want to do this as well.
Anybody else?
Maybe later.
Yeah.
Mr. Miller, your turn.
Good evening. My name is Frank Miller, and my address is 1 Independent Drive, Suite 2300 in Jacksonville. This has been a process, and staff has been remarkable to work with. The concept of a master sign plan was something we proposed, the concept, and actually our proposed language for it was very short. And staff has taken that and run with it and really created a correct way to address these items. And the reasoning is you've got a huge project in Saratoga Springs as an example. You've got a huge geographical location that they're going to be occupying, and for their benefit, for the benefit of the community, and for just the aesthetics of it, to have a sign plan concept that has unique, cohesive, coordinated signage for the whole project is a benefit to everybody. And because it's such a large project, there were a couple of items in the current sign code that didn't quite make it. You've got, for instance, the gateway sign. The gateway sign is a sign that will be at the entrance on one end of Cathedral Oak and on the other end of the Cathedral Oak. And to be limited by the terms of the sign code would not really work. I mean, you're entering a huge geographic area that's going to be known as Saratoga Springs, just like we now, you have a Fleming Island post office address, and this could likely become the Saratoga Springs post office. I think we are to the end of the drafting of it, with the exception of a couple little tweaks, and that's really it. Everything else has been blessed and approved, and again, staff, both the planning staff and the legal staff have busted their butts on it. I'd like to take credit for the drafting, but my drafting was long ago tossed aside.
That it?
I'm happy to answer questions.
Commissioner?
I think you answered the first one. So this is really designed for Saratoga Springs, but Governor's Park is probably this big, right? Is Agricola this large? I don't remember the total acreages on that. So at least there's two others that are already on the books that would qualify for this. There's a couple of things that I wanted to ask about in this, and whoever wrote it can actually answer it. It keeps talking about a master plan for the whole area. Does that mean if, I'm just going to throw some CVS or Walgreens wants to go in there, is their sign going to have to conform to whatever plan you put in
Yes.
place? And what would that mean that it has to conform?
It would conform in terms of colors, design, presentation. I'm not a sign guy, so I'm sure there structure, so that it's a cohesive presentation across the community of the signage.
So the developer would say for this type of business, here's kind of like a pattern or a prototype sign that you would
Correct.
use. So other than maybe some small differences, Walgreens and CVS and any other drugstore or anything like that might basically look like the same. I'll tell you what I'm thinking of if you're familiar with this. Have you ever been to Coral Springs down in Broward County?
No,
You
I haven't.
should. It's very interesting. They've got a sign ordinance that everything looks the same. So that's why I'm asking that. Had a couple of other questions when I read through this. So the unified control would take care of that. I mean, if I wanted to come in as a business under this plan, I'm a hardware store, and I'm going to tell you, you can't tell me what my sign is going to be. Is that going to be in some kind of covenant, or how is that going to be enforced against an individual business?
Well, actually, the master sign plan ordinance will require that it be run with the land, so that anybody who acquires property within the master sign plan boundaries is going to be subject to it by way of, and it hasn't been determined whether it'll be a separate document that's recorded or it'll be incorporated into homeowners association documents, but there will be a recorded document that puts any buyer, any landowner, all landowners on notice that they're subject to it. And secondly, it runs with the land, so it's not something that they could say, I didn't know about it. And thirdly, I think it will provide for the county to enforce it.
That means code enforcement. Okay. This is a question for, probably not even for you guys, code enforcement. We don't enforce codes in this county unless somebody complains. In other words, code enforcement can't just go out and enforce an ordinance unless somebody complains about it. So the fallback is going to be to the developer to kind of enforce that.
Or whoever's given the authority under the For instance, the homeowners association documents or potentially the CDD. And there's certainly a protection. I mean, when you got 2,000 acres of development, it's not going to happen in a couple of years and the developer's gone. The developer's going to be there for 10, 15 years. And during that time, the assurance is that the developer's not going to allow variations that mess up the plan for the whole project, because it's a unified plan that's supposed to benefit everybody.
Then I'm gonna just bring up a couple of things I have a kind of a bit of an issue with in this. Is one of them is, it's line 205 in our document. The review of the master sign plan application shall be completed within 15 days. Frankly, Frank, sorry, but frankly, this is a huge development. And, you know, it could have taken months and months to put this sign plan together, but we're gonna review it in 15 business days, yes or no, or whatever. That seems a very, very short time frame to review something that would affect such a large area of the county. So I have issues with that.
Well, let me respond to that. Well, first of all, it's 15 business days.
Right, 3 weeks.
So it's 3 weeks. But what will be presented will be a boundary, a layout of the whole project with dots where the signs will be, and then pictorial representations of the different types of signs, like the residential monument sign, the commercial monument sign, all of the signs. And those specific signs, I mean, there will be dimensions to it, and it really shouldn't take that long to review. But I'll also say that that was staff's time period.
Was that? That was our time period?
It's very similar to what we have for plan review, for permitting, for, yeah.
I had one other note in here. Since this will include like Lake Asbury, which we often hold up as a example for lighting and control, in line 284, it says the signs will be designed to blend in with the landscape and architecture, and the design standards shall be provided within the PUDs. When it talked about lighting for the signs in here, I'm looking where I made a note, I can't find it. But it didn't say too much about the lighting, other than it shouldn't be, you know, should not be too glaring or whatever. It didn't really specify whether we'd have internal or external lit signs, you know, how bright the lighting on them would be, the type of lighting, that kind of thing. I'd sure like to see something that controls the lighting a little bit better on the signs. Under illumination, where it says, that's line 160, where it says, no flashing or pulsating lights will be permitted on any sign, for example, but there's not a definition of a pulsing or a flashing, because we have billboards that change every 8 seconds, and that's not considered flashing or pulsing. When you think about how many times that is in a minute, that's a lot of changing. So I would think these signs should be more static than that. That ought to be defined a little bit better. And other than that, the only other issue was where you can ask for waivers on the signs. There was nothing in there that said what percentage, I would say, like if you came in and asked for a waiver on a sign, what percentage of that type of sign can be granted a waiver? Because under this wording, if I read it correctly, basically you can come and ask for a waiver for every sign in here.
But there are limits on the extent of a waiver.
Like how much, yes. But basically, you know, like the Chable's in here, 10% or whatever. Frank, what I'm saying is
10% on each sign.
Yeah, it could be 10% on each sign, and I'm thinking it should be more like 10%. The 10% is fine, but 5, 10, 15% of the signs could be waived. The lower the number, the better. So you don't get people coming in asking for waivers on every sign.
We would like for that decision to rest with the Director of Zoning. And if the Director of Zoning feels there are too many waivers sought, and every sign in there is sought to be 10 or 15% taller than otherwise, then the planning director can refuse to approve it, and the option for the developer is to go to the board and ask for specific approval of those increased signs.
Yeah, I agree, but without a ceiling in there, it's difficult for anybody to just say no, because then it becomes arbitrary. I think it should be more codified. But that's all I've got. I would just want to make those comments. Thank you, Frank.
Other comments? Commissioner?
No, that's good.
This is just a general question, just, would you summarize to say that the objective of this is to be more restrictive with your signs in these developments?
Yes, and mostly to create and obligate it to have a unified, cohesive sign plan. If you drive down Sandridge, you got all those projects along there. They each got their own separate looking sign, and they're all different.
Yep.
And it would be nice, though that's probably not, the kind of thing that would work with, but if all the signs were cohesive, had the same colors.
Couldn't agree more.
And that's what this is attempting to do.
And then the other thing is, this ordinance would be countywide?
Except for Brandon Field.
You're saying no?
Not Brandon Field.
Not, so not in an existing,
Everywhere except Brandon.
everywhere except Brandon Field? Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Frank, great job on the presentation, and thank you for your hard work along with staff to put this together. I know it's a lot of work. Under number 91 on the line item, it clarifies that this only applies to 2,000 acre parcels and bigger.
Correct.
So if we have, and I'll use Commissioner Puckhaber's reference as a Walgreens, if we have a Walgreens that's going to go on a corner that's not part of that 2,000 acres, this sign does not, this ordinance does not apply to that.
That's correct, with this caveat. There is a process by which two landowners could get together and say, we want to jointly do a master sign plan, so that Walgreens or CVS would be included. And if they both join in the application and their project's totals more than 2,000 acres, then that corner would be subject to this and would be bound by the terms of it. If he's not within the master sign plan area, he's outside of it, you're right, he can do whatever the sign ordinance presently allows him to do.
Okay, so, I think that,
Mike, the thing that probably wasn't clear is we're talking about Saratoga Springs, but this is a autonomous or a unique boundary, which in this case may be the same, but it doesn't have to be. Part of this in here says that the applicant would come in, if they can come in with 2,000 contiguous acres, they can do a plan.
okay. And so you mentioned application, and so that's actually my second question. So anything any project that is 2,000 acres or more, which we don't have a lot of them, I'm just to understand this, that has already been submitted, already been through the approval process, this would not apply to that, is that correct? Unless they voluntarily came on board?
Yeah, this is a developer applicant generated process.
Okay.
If someone either presently is built out or is building and they don't want to go through this process, they don't have to. But those that do, they could come back later and say, we'd like to change all our signs and we have a master sign plan we'd like for you to review.
You know what, it's more like an overlay just an overlay on something.
Well, yeah, and actually there are provisions in there that once a sign plan is approved, it will be shown on some county map as an overlay.
And that overlay could, to your point, Mike, or I think you said, Frank, it could be 2 or 3 projects that get lumped into that overlay area.
As long as they meet that minimum threshold.
Exactly.
So my last question for you, Mr. Miller, was, so I just, a little bit of clarity, when we talked about
Walgreens, I think was the reference that was used. So when we have companies that come in, and they brand themselves a specific style, letter style, color style, like that is, Walgreens is the red, special, or John Deere is a green with their special. So how would this apply to those, corporations that brand themselves specifically to a color and a style?
I think, and I've got a representative here that may be able to clarify, but I think the answer is there's the sign and then there's the sign face. So let's say the sign is a monument sign. It's the same color, it's made of the same rock or whatever as the others. But on that sign face, Walgreens, and you've probably seen it, it's just Walgreens and they have that little logo thing on it, or CVS or Ace Hardware. But that's just in the sign face itself. And if I'm misreading that, Beth is going to jump on me.
So is that the colors, that affect the branding for colors?
Well, yeah, they could use red, Walgreens I think is red, and use their little logo, but that's just that one panel on the sign.
So the face, but the structure of the sign is really what you're going after.
Exactly.
To make them look uniform.
Exactly, and they can't put a pylon sign out saying Walgreens or anything like that. It'd have to be on the sign as approved by the master sign plan.
Mr. Chair, can I say one other thing?
Sure.
That brings up another question, Mr. Miller. The directional signs, which we've said aren't going to have anything other than necessary direction information, are you going to let them put a logo on that sign, Walgreens this way?
No.
It'd just be like a font?
It's primarily intended to say Saratoga Sagebrook this way, or the next development.
And to Commissioner Beret, the point you made about the colors, go visit Coral Springs. That's in their ordinance. It's the only place I've ever been where stores don't have their corporate colors on their signs. If they have this area and the signs are all green, everybody's sign, and the same font, too.
Someone asked earlier about when this would happen. It would not happen when someone comes to you with a 2,000 acre project to get approval for development. That's way too early in the process. Once a development is approved and they've spent the money to get the permits and everything, it's probably about then they're going to expend the money with an architect or an engineer or sign person to design the sign plan, and it would be probably at that point that they would submit an application. We'd sure like for y'all to bless this, but if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any other questions?
I just had the same concern I think that you had, is this idea that it's still being drafted, and I just like some reassurance. You're talking about tweaking it. If you could address a couple of those details.
I can. So let me see if I can find the place in here.
In general, I'm certainly in favor of anything that helps manage the signs in the county.
So let me find it on the staff report so we are talking about the same thing. Okay, so along about line 134, we have what I have on the screen, which is directional signs shall, and we have 4 criteria for them. What we're talking about is adding immediately under that a gateway feature sign shall, and having the same criteria.
Okay.
So that's one of the changes, and then the other change was in location, which was, just a little further down the same page. Line 151, it says, oh wait, is that, no, hang on, wrong line. So it's not in the staff report, it's in the actual ordinance. And that is under E location, and it reads a little differently than what was the line that's in that same place in the staff report. So the ordinance says, directional or gateway feature signs may be located, within a road right-of-way and shall be designed to meet breakaway standards for safety. And we want to remove gateway signs from that. The directional signs are anticipated to be the kind of signs that you see on the side of the road. It's in the right-of-way, but they're there for the purpose of directing traffic. For safety's sake, those should be a pole sign, a breakaway sign, because if you get hit by somebody and your car drifts off into the median, you want that sign not to lay flat and let your car go over it. However, a gateway feature sign is intended to be a more significant structure. And if it's in the right-of-way, we're envisioning that as in a roundabout where it's providing a traffic calming effect, essentially. And in that case, it's going to be a more substantial structure, and a breakaway pole sign isn't appropriate there. So we would like to remake that one deletion and just leave it as directional signs that have to be breakaway signs. And those are the only two changes that I'm aware of. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anything else? No? Okay.
One more question. I meant to ask this earlier. We kind of broke out off-premise signs separately, but then the wording also says they're prohibited except as expressly authorized within the LDRs, the Land Development Regulations. So we're not suddenly going to permit a whole bunch of off-site signs here. That's,
No, they're specifically, like in the Lake Asbury, Article 3
yeah.
Provision, we're saying that they're prohibited, because that's a list of prohibited signs, but allowing them only under the master sand plan option.
I think that was my question then.
Yeah.
Pretty much we prohibit off-site signs, right, in this county. Is this gonna allow more of those? I mean, is it gonna allow them? It's kind of hard the way it's worded for me to be sure of what it says, because it talks about an off-premise sign, you know, being off the parcel. Then it says off-premise, off-site signs are prohibited, except as expressly authorized within the land development regulations. We don't allow them in very many places to begin with. There's a few, but we generally don't allow them. I just want to make sure this, by breaking that out, this isn't somehow gonna proliferate a bunch of off-premise signs.
They're only permitted under this master plan, and the master plan's providing the locations and the size and, so, yeah. And that's why we have that 2,000-foot separation, so that there's a good amount of space. We don't have a proliferation. Yeah.
I have a quick question. The CAC meets when, the 9th?
It's Thursday night, yeah,
Okay,
day after tomorrow.
all right, thank you.
Anybody else? I'm not through with you, Mr. Miller.
Sorry.
Now, I only have a couple of concerns. One, and Ms. Carson's going to have to make that decision, but the additional workload on the planning staff, 2,000-acre development, that's going to be a big burden anyway, but now they've got signs to be reviewing and placement and that sort of stuff. Is that what I'm hearing with an MSP?
Yeah, yes, potentially, but I would offer up to you that I suspect that Beth is so familiar with these signs right now, she's fed up with them.
Well, I'm sure she is, but okay. The other thing too is, which concerns me, and that is enforcement. I'm all in favor of standardizing this whole process, if for no other reason, so we can do away with some of these extraneous signs. But if there's no teeth in it, then we have an enforcement issue that's oftentimes, well, it's like tonight, somebody showed up at this meeting, want to know, who do I call? That type of thing, because our code enforcement area is way understaffed, and they can only respond to things where it's an honest complaint. So that's, and the other thing too is, and I'll spin off on Commissioner Puckhavers, and that is, lighting is, for the county is an issue. We do have the Brandonfield Chafee lighting standards. Maybe that ought to be incorporated into this so that we can ensure that lighting standards for the whole entire county are maintained. But those are just my comments, and with that, I'll back down. Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
With that, I'll open the public hearing. I don't have any cards on this, but somebody is standing, which, did you take the oath?
I did not. I'm sorry. I didn't plan on speaking, but I will take it.
I don't need a card when you get done,
Okay.
please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Thank you. Hi, my name is Helena Cormier. My address is 2839 Woodbridge Crossing Court, Green Cove Springs, Florida, 32043. I just had a question. I didn't quite understand this one until it's been presented here today. And I was kind of surprised that when I got the information about the CAC for Thursday night, we'll be hearing about this. And I just didn't understand how come it was pushed forward for y'all, but yet hadn't come to us, why they didn't wait till next month. And so, I don't understand that part of it. I'm sure we'll get to figure that out. They'll explain that to me. And I know it's not supposed to be question answers type thing. So thank you again for everything y'all are doing, and just for all of us as we're trying to figure this out. I feel like there's still some ironing out that's going on and is still going on, and I'm not sure how it's going to be presented to us, but thank you.
Thank you. That's a good question, because we rely on input from the CAC. They're supposed to be the people on the ground hearing the residents and all that stuff before we hear it. And is there some reason why we're not?
I'll have staff respond, but understand, this is countywide except for Brandonfield. This is not just the Lake Asbury area. And
Frank,
so-
you kind of beat me to what I was going to ask, which is, it occurred to me as she was speaking, it is countywide. So what CAC is going to look at it, all of them should be looking at it if it's a countywide issue. I mean, we're talking Saratoga Springs, but it does affect other areas. It could affect anywhere in the county as long as it's not Brandonfield, if someone cobbled together 2,000 acres.
Well, the CAC receives the text amendments that are specific to Lake Asbury. So they're getting Article 3's changes because those are specific to them, not all of Article 7's changes. We don't send code changes to all the CACs, partly because that then becomes a huge additional time and review issue, but also because we don't have active CACs everywhere. And so it's an equity issue. So it can't be that we send to the ones that we have and then don't send to where we don't have a CAC. So we have this public meeting, and we rely on the Planning Commission to be that public meeting. However, because the Article 3 changes are specific to Lake Asbury, they're definitely going to get the Article 3 portion and present their, like you and staff, we're all recommending bodies to the board. So we try to get their timing so that they're before your meeting, but that didn't work out this time. So yeah, we will have their commentary, but not until afterwards.
The one comment that I'll just add to the conversation is that as we absolutely love our feedback from the CAC, because it helps to, hear from a broader voice, when we're making decisions or recommendations, I should say, to the BCC. That being said, it's not a prerequisite or a requirement to be heard prior to necessarily in order for it to come to this body and this body render a suggested, direction. So as much as I would have loved to have had it already have been heard by the Lake Asbury CAC, it's not a requirement, as far as I understand.
Correct, that's right.
And to just follow up on that, they would have an opportunity to go to the Board of County Commissioner meeting if they wanted to voice some opinion to it.
They meaning
The CAC, whatever CAC.
They go to the, to the
I'm saying.
board.
Right, they can go directly to the
Chair will
board.
go,
Right,
and
right.
report there.
So I agree with Commissioner Barret's comments.
The only comment I've got about that is that what you say is true. Not every district has a CAC, but that's their shortcoming, not those that have spent the time and energy to create a CAC. If they have a CAC, they should be entitled to be reviewing these policies that applies countywide. If for no other reason that they know that it's out there and they're aware of it. I mean, nothing's more embarrassing to have a CAC meeting when a policy's been approved countywide that they haven't had a chance to weigh in on. That's my only concern about that. But, okay, I'll open the public hearing. It's open now, so is anybody else wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the commission for discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve the staff's recommendation to pass this forward.
I'll second the motion. I'll second the motion. Leave it there.
Courtney.
Is it for both the revisions to Article 3 and Article 7?
Yes.
It's all listed as one agenda item, yeah, ZON 26009 or 6.
To include the basically clerical administrative changes that the staff is making. Those two items that Dodie mentioned.
Okay, I have them.
Do we need two motions? Or are we okay with one?
I have a comment.
Do we need two or
It's
just one?
A and B.
You can put them together, just I wanted it to be clear that it was for Article 3 and Article 7.
So my motion includes both letter A on ordinance for Article 3 and an ordinance related to Article 7. To create these master sign plans.
And the second agrees.
We have a motion and a second discussion.
I do. You, go ahead, Bob.
I would like to see this continued until the Brandon Field CAC weighs in, and any others that might be.
Brandon Field CAC.
I'm sorry.
Lake Asbury.
Lake Asbury, excuse me, Lake Asbury weighs in on this. And it would also give the staff a few weeks to tweak anything else they have to do.
Commissioner?
I would agree with Bo, but I was also going to say, since we have a motion on the floor, I'm going to address the motion. I'm probably right. I didn't like this when I got here, but I think I've gotten some clarification. This is going to be one of those 49, 51% decisions. So if you're going to call the question, I'll probably end up supporting it. I wouldn't mind it going another month, but I don't know if the applicant wants to wait another month.
I have no problem with that. I was going to ask Mr. Miller, is there a time sensitivity to this?
There is. There are actually permits pending now that are subject to approval based on this that staff understood we were processing and yeah, the time would be better for us to get it approved now.
Right, and so I asked a question earlier, what are the items? There was only two items that are still being analyzed, finalized. Those
Yes.
two items about the breakaway signs and the other. I mean, they're not material to the intent of this ordinance.
And if I could clarify, it's not a question of further discussion on them. It's just a question of changing the text.
Exactly. I mean, it's clerical in nature. I don't know if that's appropriate legally, but I'm getting nodding yes heads over there. So I'm comfortable moving forward with it. And
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. One dissent. Thank you, Mr. Miller. All right, our next agenda item is public hearing, consider CO Comp Plan 26004 and zoning 260005. We'll need 2 votes on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment and a companion rezoning application. Both of these items will be heard by the Board of County Commissioners on April 28th. The applicant for this item is Luke Marler with FNC Homes. The location of the property is 4538 Mayflower Street, which is in the Middleburg Clay Hill District. That's District 4, Commissioner Condon's district. And the comprehensive plan amendment 26004 would change the future land use designation from commercial to rural residential. And the companion zoning would change the zoning from neighborhood business BA to rural estates district AR2. This is the map on the left is the buffer for which we send out notifications, and that's the list of people we contacted as well as the signs. The location of this property is south of 218 in the flower area up in Middleburg, where you've got all the streets named after flowers. It's west of Carnation and just off of Mayflower. And you can see the area is largely developed by, very rural development, a lot of mobile homes and some single-family homes. Not a lot of businesses out there, but you've got a lot of residential. So the map on the left is the existing land use map, and the red is the commercial. The yellow is the rural residential. And so Carnation, Camellia, and Mayflower are all unpaved roads. And so if you were to actually have commercial here, the county would require that those roads be paved so that there was paved access to the commercial. The map on the right is the proposed land use, which would be to take it back from the commercial to residential. And so I'm going to show you another map because these maps are quite honed in on this area. And if you look at this image, it looks like there's a whole lot of commercial around, and it seems like it would be crazy to change it from, commercial. But if you look at the overall area, you see that this commercial is really just a small area, and that the overriding land use and zoning around here is residential. The map on the left is the existing zoning, where it was changed to the commercial zoning years ago. And the map on the right is the proposed zoning, which would take it to the AR2. So on March 16th, the Middleburg Clay Hills CAC heard this item and voted 6-0 to recommend approval of both of the applications. Staff reviewed the criteria for Comp 2604 and for the comprehensive plan amendment and found that it met the requirements and recommends approval of this item as well as for the zoning item 26-005. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, staff?
I'm just curious, how did that end up being commercial anyway? Do you have any idea of the history of how that area, which is predominantly residential, but there are several parcels through there that have commercial land
And
use?
I don't really know, and I think I put the date in the staff report. It was years ago that
Right.
they decided to wrap that whole area as commercial.
Yeah.
But, it's not a paved road, it's not served
No,
by
it's-
utilities or anything, so.
It's part of maybe that initial administrative zoning when they went down and just zoned so far out, but.
They may have, there is one building that appears to be an office, or it's listed as an office on the county property appraiser's listing. But for the most part, it all looks residential.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, staff? Applicant here? You have anything to share with us?
No, sir.
Do you have any questions of the applicant? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. I have no cards. Does anybody wish to speak on this agenda item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Right
Mr.
back to the commission for discussion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the comp plan amendment.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Mr. Beaman, any input?
Not on this one, thank you.
Okay. All right, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you very much.
And Mr.
Rezoning.
Chair, I
Gotta
will
do a
move the
zoning.
zoning change as well.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, opposed? All right, that takes care of that. The next item is public hearing, consider ZON 260004.
This item will also be heard by the Board of County Commissioners at their April 28th meeting. The applicant for this item is First Coast Energy, and Jason Gabriel is here representing the applicant. The location is 240 Nightbox Road. It is within the Oak Leaf Brannon Ridge Planning District, which is Commission District 5 for Commissioner Burke. There's 2 parcels involved, which total approximately 8.36 acres. And the application is seeking to rezone the parcels from AR, which is Agriculture Residential, to BB2, Community Business District. In 2003, the FLU was amended to commercial via Ordinance 2003-59. And at the time, like a few other properties we've had in the county, it was not rezoned. I'm not sure why. But the proposed use would be for a Daly's convenience store with gas station pumps and car wash. The map on the left shows the location. It's basically the northwest corner of County Road 220 and Nightbox Road. It's across the way from the Safe Animal Shelter and next to that subdivision. The map on the left is the existing zoning, which is showing the AR, and the map on the right shows the proposed BB2. This is the notification map and the sign. On March 2nd, the Oak Leaf Brannon Ridge CAC voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this item. Staff has done the analysis and finds that it meets the criteria for rezoning and recommends approval of Zone 250004. Do you have any questions?
Questions, staff?
I just had one question. Can you go back to the map, Beth?
Which map?
It doesn't matter. Either one will do. That'll be fine.
Okay.
Is that odd shape on the left, does that follow a parcel?
Yes.
So there's a parcel that goes in there and kind of just has a little leg that hooks down? Okay, that's all. I just wanted to make sure that was correct.
I have just one question. Probably not, it's a stretch, but is this in the Brandonville Master Plan area?
No.
So there's,
it is not.
it would have to only comply with the county's sign ordinance.
Right.
Yes.
And lighting.
Yep.
And so on.
Who's here to represent them?
Any other questions to staff?
No.
Applicant?
Good evening. My name is Jason Gabriel. I'm with the law firm of Burr Foreman in Jacksonville, Florida at 50 North Flora Street, Suite 3000, Jacksonville, Florida, 32202. I'm here with our lead project engineer, Mr. Peter Ma with ETM, and we appreciate your time here this evening. As your staff pointed out, this is a rezoning from I think it's called AR, an agricultural type underlying zoning, to the BB2 district, which is what I would submit as a very moderately compatible commercial district that conforms to the zoning of that's called for under the future land use element. The future land use map, your future land use element is commercial. So really this zoning request brings into conformance the zoning district, in line with and consistent with the overriding future land use map. My client is First Coast Energy that's owned this property for about 20 years now. There was a PUD zoning on this property about 20 or 21 years ago or so called the Little Black Creek PUD, with a commercial development on this particular part of the property, and then actually it was a 14-acre piece. So there was this 8 acres, and then the residential piece sort of off to the northwest for some residential. We're seeking a rezoning just on the 8 acres, but that PUD actually had about 60,000 square feet of commercial office institutional uses, and then along with a neighborhood consisting of about 55 single-family home lots that are 60 foot wide. But in any event, that's just to give a little historical context. My understanding is the way that Clay County looks at its zoning code is a PUD like that has, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, an expiration, so that PUD essentially has expired, and so the zoning reverted back to the AG. So again, this is a request to bring the zoning, into conformance with the overriding future land use element. As your staff pointed out, on March 2nd, our project was reviewed by your Citizen Advisory Committee, in this case, the Oakleaf Brandon Ridge CAC, and after due consideration and discussion, they unanimously recommended approval. And as your staff has pointed out here today, this zoning request is in line with your future land use map. The staff report that's in the agenda that's dated February 24th, 2026 recommends approval. And I'm not going to go through obviously all the criteria, but on pages 10 and 11 of that professional staff report, which serves as substantial competent evidence, they've pointed out such things as this rezoning is consistent with, and in fact brings the zoning in line with the land use designation of the property as commercial. The zoning would serve a legitimate public purpose and make the site compatible with a comprehensive plan and the future land use designation of the property. And finally, this rezoning would permit appropriate commercial uses in a location that would serve the needs of the immediate residential areas in and around that part of the community, consistent with the designs and elements of the county's comprehensive plan. So with that, I'll just try to keep it brief, certainly available for any questions you might have, but we would respectfully request that the Planning Commission also recommend approval to the Board of County Commission. And again, we're appreciative of your time, and we're available for any questions you might have.
Commissioner?
This is a little over 8 acres, this parcel, and I think Ms. Carson said that you're looking at a gas station and a car wash. That can't possibly occupy the whole 8 acres.
That's correct. It will not. And we do have and we can certainly share with you if you want. It's technically not germane to the rezoning itself, but we do have a site plan that we propose, because there's no secret. That is what we're proposing, is a convenience store, C-suite type, commercial establishment, about 8,000 square feet or so, with an associated fuel station and car wash. But yeah, to your point, you're absolutely right. That would be the limits of the development. If you look at the site plan, actually and I think it's the parcel you might have been mentioning on the western half of the property, I think it's about 6 acres or so is purely for stormwater retention. So if you look at the site plan, the developable part of it is much less than the 8 acres. 8 acres is quite big for, this overall establishment.
Yeah, okay. Because it's not in our purview, you're correct, but part of that zoning you're requesting is that the site plan shall be submitted to the Development Review Committee for review and approval prior to obtaining a building permit for all uses within this district. That's why I was asking. So you have plans for the whole thing that falls within this zoning?
Sure, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That's right.
Any other questions?
I just have one if I could,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chair. Good evening, Mr. Gabriel.
Yes, good evening.
It's a pleasure to meet you. So I was just curious, I guess it's the two-part question. The first is, I understand the straight zoning. Did you consider a PUD as opposed to a straight, is it just to redo a PUD that was already on here before?
We did have that discussion. I think it was just because this particular conventional zoning district covered all the territory. I believe it was preferred to do this, but yeah, it was considered. But we do have a site plan. I mean, for whatever it's worth, that I think confines the project. But yeah, it was considered. But
Okay.
the BB2 was kind of the.
Yeah, it's certainly not a requirement, but you'll hear some of the concerns from the commissioners about lighting, about signage, which you've already heard a lot about. Those all could be addressed in a PUD as opposed to a straight zoning. The other question I have is under allowable uses, or excuse me, uses permitted, B3, opens up a concern for me regarding the proximity to the housing development. So I just, well, as long as we have, and a PUD would have addressed this, but as long as we have, as long as we understand that this is not going to be anything other than a gas station and a car wash, then I think that answers my question. I just wanted to reiterate that.
Sure, no, we appreciate it, and yeah, I know it's a little quirky, because in a conventional rezoning, you can't necessarily condition it as you could in a PUD or a PD, but, I mean, we're certainly happy to, we actually, in our application, we did commit to a filed site plan that actually is taken into account some photometric limitations and even a noise barrier and that sort of stuff. And I've had this conversation actually with the district commissioner, but, it will, if this is something that has to be memorialized in some fashion, I think we could probably work a way to do that, but.
And I'm going to shift to Beth for just a second. Is that something that we're able to do? I don't think we typically do a carve-out under straight zoning.
We don't typically. You had a concern about the adult
Yes, ma'am.
use. Okay, that is limited by proximity to residential, and with residential right immediately next to it, that would prevent it from
Oh, so
being.
it's already a non-issue because of the, okay,
Yes.
okay. I forgot about that piece. Yeah.
Sorry, and I should have understood, yeah, if you were worried about that's right, there's a limitation anyway on
Yeah.
the distance.
Yeah, I was here when we put all that in place, and it's just been so long that I had forgotten about the proximity, so thank you.
You have a pretty well-thought-through code that actually kind of takes into account some of those
I
other
think
uses.
too, Mike, that there's a church right there on Nightbox that's probably too close as well.
Presbyterian Church.
Yeah, okay, all right, very good, thank you.
The only concerns I have are similar to Commissioner Berets, and the zoning seems to be, some of the uses that are authorized there might not be compatible with surrounding areas, especially in the area of lighting. Also, some of the uses, I mean, like car lots and things of that nature, and I'm glad you're committing to a site plan, but under this zoning, that really is not useful, because you can change that tomorrow. Or if your gas station doesn't work out, then the BB2 prevails. So you can tear that down and go into something else that's all under the BB2 and doesn't have to come back to anybody. You just file a permit and get on with it. So I think with the proximity to the residential area, my concern is overflow lighting and unwanted noise and that sort of stuff. And with that, we'll go from there. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your input.
Appreciate it.
With that, I'll open the public hearing. I don't have any cards. Well, I do have one card on this from Denise Robertson. Please state your name and give us your address.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Denise Robertson. I live at 3738 Bedford Drive in Middleburg. I am the president of the Boxwood HOA Association, and we are the neighborhood that is right adjacent to that plot of land that's going to be developed. We are not opposed to the daily, but we have some of the same concerns that you do. We're concerned about lighting. We're concerned about noise. We have some of our houses that will back right up to that developed area, and that's where people sleep at night. And so we're concerned about the level of noise. We're also concerned right now with traffic. We have a hard time getting in and out of our neighborhood as it is right now because of the bridge closure. So Nightbox Road is now the shortcut to County Road 220. So we have a very hard time. There's no turn lane. So it's like the Daytona 500 coming out of our neighborhood. So we're concerned too, how much is this new development going to impact our traffic flow coming in and out of our subdivision? So again, lighting, traffic, noise, we're just concerned. And we want to make sure that we make those known to you, that those are some, we think, viable concerns going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I don't have any other cards. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Helena Cormier, and my address is on file. Thank you again for y'all's expertise on understanding the difference with just doing the BB zoning versus if they would have done a PUD. I wish they would have, so it would have limited those usages. I too was concerned about the adult entertainment aspect and just what they can do. And we all know in real estate, there may be an intention of somebody buying something and the site plan that they plan on doing, and then something changes, and then here we are with the zoning that allows many different things. And so if there's any way they could have done a PUD and something that would have guaranteed that this is what you're getting when y'all approve it, it would have been better than the way it can be perceived that it's a blanket approval. So thank you for all of y'all's due diligence and understanding, and thank you for their efforts. We want to see the development, we want to see the things come in there, but we also want to protect the communities that are right there. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else wish to share their comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commissioners for discussion. Motion.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Carson, would you explain the buffering requirements for, I think it's 25-foot setback and 10-foot buffer, right? No? I get them mixed up. It's different for all of them.
So if you look at the map on the right, the gray area would be the commercial. Everything that is green, red, yellow, or the other green, that's all residential. So there would have to be a 20-foot buffer, which is going to be a separation. They can't put anything in it. 20-foot buffer with a 6-foot visual screen, which is either an opaque fence or shrub planting that's 6 foot at height at time of planting, and evergreen tree planting 30 foot on center on all of the perimeters where it's adjacent to the green, the red, the yellow. That's because that's all residential.
Okay. The other comment I just wanted to make is there is a buffer, and they're never fully adequate, but we do the best we can to try to separate the uses. And to the comment about the traffic on Nightbox Road, I don't think it's a cut through, it's an only road right now with that bridge closed. And Nightbox, I think, I'm hoping, because I use that road too, is the traffic will go back kind of where it was once 220 gets open. But Nightbox Road, it has nothing to do with this zoning, is desperately in need of a middle turning lane. Because there are places that you have to make left turns off that road and there's no left turn lane. And it gets a little bit dicey sometimes. The uses are not particularly onerous to me for this location. I mean, this is kind of, I go through here a lot. 220, when they finish that bridge, hopefully is going to take a lot of the traffic that people are trying to bypass, at least for a while. So I'm sure that's why they want to put a gas station here. They expect a lot more traffic in front of this property. I haven't seen the site plan. I don't know if it's in the ordinance but it's not in our package. I would just encourage the developers. We all, especially me, I'm the main one, but we've all become more and more concerned about lighting. So I would very much appreciate the developers taking that into account, whatever they do. Downlighting, wherever possible. There's no reason to light up the surrounding neighborhood. And I know that the county, the design review committee is probably going to talk about that some too, about maybe doing Lake Asbury lightings in this property. It doesn't make your property any darker. It just keeps the surrounding neighborhood from having to live with all that light. So that's my only comment.
I just would add to Ralph's comment. I would encourage, and I'm sure you guys are aware of these modern development techniques where you have better lighting, better signage, and frankly, the signage in particular is less expensive to put a monument sign down than some pole sign. And I've meant it, and I will take some photos, but there's a new convenience store, a large convenience store comparable to this, different brand, but it just opened on Blanding not too long ago in the Brandonfield Master Plan. and passed through there at night one time, and you barely could notice the lighting. It doesn't spill over at all, but obviously you could see under the pumps and all that sort of stuff. So I'm pretty sure that's contemporary development standards right now. But would ditto what Ralph was saying, to light it appropriately and sign it appropriately.
Anybody else?
You ready? I'll move this one if you want.
My biggest concern about this whole thing is lighting, and mostly from the standpoint that we have no guarantee about the lighting. It's just whatever happens, happens. And yeah, we got a 20-foot buffer, but to what Commissioner Puckhaber says, it's oftentimes not adequate. So I'm deeply concerned about that because the residents are extremely close. And with that, I'll entertain a motion.
You have something to? I just want to go on record with saying that I'm concerned about the buffering around it, because 20 feet to me is just not much. So I would oppose this unless it could be adjusted.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll move the staff report on this one.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, second. Any discussion? None. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Aye.
Two
Okay.
noes.
Thank you very much.
You were no, right?
I'm a no.
And Bo. And the no school board.
All right, that completes our agenda.
I know I can't ask, I just wanted, was that a 4-2 vote? I just.
3-2.
Yeah,
3-2? Okay,
3-2.
thank you, appreciate it.
We have no presentations. We have any old business, new business? Seeing none. Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing for comments one last time. Does anybody have anything they wish to share before we adjourn? Seeing none, I will close the public comments period.
Mr.
and-
Chair, I have what might be a public comment, commissioner comment, whatever you want to call it.
Would you like to take the
I just
podium?
wanted to note,
Give
I
us your
just
name and
wanted
address.
to note the passing of 2 items in this county recently, which anyone who's lived here very long would be aware of. Number one is Price's store is no longer.
That's correct.
It is been knocked down, the new tanks have been put in, the slab is there, and they are building the new building on that property. So anyone that's been here for a long time, that's a little piece of the county history that has gone away.
Priceless.
It was priceless, it's Price's store. And the other thing, if you guys didn't see it, is Whitey's changed hands. I don't know if anyone saw that.
Yep. Had a soft opening last night.
Oh, did I thought they were still working on it, maintaining it.
Family soft opening.
Was it? So I'm just pleased that it's gonna remain a restaurant for the time being. So,
That's correct.
yep. I just wanted to note those 2 items. They're kind of items of note in the county.
Okay, anybody got any comments? Closing? All right, we're adjourned.